While the Super Friends are off doing the stuff they do, Marvin, Wendy, and Wonder Dog are taking it easy at a resort in Florida.
Is there time for a swim before Batman and Robin get here?
Of course, Marvin. It's so beautiful and warm. Go ahead.
Race you across. Go! Either we ought to install a water softener, or this is ice.
Now they need to get off the ice. The trick is to move slowly and carefully and constantly check your footing. Or you can do that. It doesn't work, but you can do it.
So much for the ice in the swimming pool. Now the air will warm in exactly 3 minutes.
Doctor, I wish you'd keep the weather warm all the time.
Mr. Wicker, I cannot control the weather. No one can. But I can control my jet.
So a Claude Monet wannabe froze the pool and now he's unfreezing it. He can't control the weather, but his ship can? I'm going to assume the ship is some kind of sentient alien. Marvin is telling everybody the pool is frozen. He'll demonstrate.
It was frozen. Look.
Holy snowballs! The pool must have been frozen.
Or Wonder Dog got too hot and sat in the ice machine for a while. I'd like to know how a chunk of ice that big is hanging onto his little nub of a tail.
At the Hall of Justice, more information is displayed on the CDQ screen. The weather has gone wild. Hundreds of gigantic icebergs are drifting south into the Atlantic. In the north, glaciers a mile long are breaking off into the sea. A sudden climactic change in the Atlantic has caused the seaweed to grow at a fantastic rate, creating a tangle. Whales are fleeing.
Unfortunately, they fled right into the Sargasso Sea and found themselves in the same predicament they were fleeing from. While the Super Friends, who are actually, super, take care of the crises, Batman, Robin, and the others will do some detecting. Wonder Woman is going for the ocean liner because a hurricane right on top of it is spinning it around. With her transparent plane, she speeds the opposite direction and builds up enough force to cancel out the winds and save the ship. S.O.P. Superman is going to rescue a battleship that's locked in a ring of icebergs. Now that she's taken care of the hurricane, Wonder Woman is coming to help him.
I suggest the train hitch in order to widen the passageway.
I agree, Superman.
Can someone explain to me what Wonder Woman is doing? This is something new to me.
As Superman and Wonder Woman release the trapped battleship, our other Super Friends arrive at the United States government building.
Up through 1977 and beyond, the entire United States government was housed in one building. It wasn't until around the 80s that somebody got the idea of building more.
Robin and Wendy go immediately to the Weather Service room to check world weather charts, while Batman and Marvin pay a call on the hydrographic office.
In other words, the map room. They need some charts of the area around Florida.
Here's Florida, and here's the Gulf Stream, which goes north along the Florida coast.
And here's about where the beach house is located. He must have buried a bone there.
Do you know whether the Gulf Stream is a warm or cold current?
Warm, because it's just come up from the equator.
Right. And what effect does it have on Florida's climate?
Helps keep it warm, I think.
Correct.
Ha! You kids are being educated about climate and you didn't even realize it. But what's up with our little man?
Something's gone wrong with the Gulf Stream.
Good thinking, Marvin. Now let's get more detailed charts.
Doctor, this is Mr. Malvit. Doctor? Hello, hello.
We also need a chart of the Gulf of Mexico.
Doctor.
Hello, Doctor. Doctor.
Yes, Mr. Malvit, what is it?
Spies, Dr. Thinkwick, spies. They're getting maps.
What of it? You're working in an office which supplies maps to the public.
But they're getting maps of the Gulf Stream.
We'll be right there.
The little guy absconds with the maps they need and tells them, must be there somewhere, keep searching.
They want the map of the Florida coast, the Gulf Stream.
Don't let them get it.
It's a good thing this city doesn't have a public library or something like that where they might be able to find more copies. When those things are around, people start reading and learning stuff. We can't have that.
Look at these crazy mixed up temperatures. 85 degrees here, and almost next to it, 50 degrees.
Let's go tell Batman.
I think we're being followed. A small, very thin man with glasses.
Our Florida map disappeared. The clerk is a small, very thin man with glasses.
He had to put his glasses in his pocket when he was on screen because of the glare from the lights.
There's the one who was watching us.
And there's the map. Pardon me, sir, but I want the Florida map.
I don't have it.
You took it.
I gave it to Mr. Wicker.
We'll see about that.
Surprise, you thought he tripped. So did I. In reality, he was sliding into third base and he's safe for the moment.
Gotcha. I need that map.
Wrong map.
I'll meet you downstairs.
Why doesn't he dive after him? He's robbing the boy Wonder. It shouldn't be a problem.
I didn't see any little man following us.
Well, of course. We men have keener powers of observation. I practice observation a half hour a day, and I'm getting very observant.
Did you say something, Wonder Dog?
That's dog talk for start observing.
Why the umbrella?
Rubber rain boots?
How did he know it was going to rain?
Highly suspicious.
The sky was perfectly clear a second ago.
I think we ought to go follow him.
In typical fashion, they won't tell anybody where they're going. Question: Wendy is the smart one. Why doesn't she have a communicator ring like the other super friends? We know what kind of nonsense would happen if we gave Marvin one, but Wendy should be able to handle it responsibly. The rain stops right on this guy's cue.
Down, hound.
He begs your pardon.
Why are you following me?
Us?
I seem to be speaking to all of you.
Well, we were very surprised.
By whom?
You.
Why?
They want to know where you bought that cool beret.
You seem to know exactly when it's going to rain and when it's going to stop.
What's so surprising about that? Weather forecasters do it all the time.
Except it rains when they say it won't, and it doesn't when they say it will.
He says, if you people keep following me, I'll call the police. The crew knows what to do about that.
What are you so happy about? We're gonna lose him.
And I think he's very suspicious.
What's on your mind, Wonder Dog?
Marvin, Wonder Dog is a dog.
He usually acts as though he were a person, you mean?
Exactly. He said that he'd call the police if any of us people followed him. Go, Wonder Dog!
Ain't semantics wonderful sometimes? That thing looks like the remote control to my air conditioner. I think he turned it up too high. It's a good thing you don't need pants to drive. The Batmobile is in hot pursuit.
I think he's the one who's causing all the weather trouble.
He can change the weather.
We'll trap them at the end of the pier.
I wouldn't count on that. He's driving like he knows what he's doing. Told you.
Boy, where you been all your life? That there's one of them new car boats.
Globy, the pilot whale, responds to Aquaman's call for information about the tangled seaweed. Aquaman tells his friends that the drifting seaweed is a danger to ships and asks whether Globy knows the exact direction and speed of the drift. Globy is able to supply the information. The seaweed is moving due north at 5 miles per hour.
Whales understand things like miles and hours, you know. Many people don't realize that.
Aquaman learns that a whole dolphin family is entangled in the seaweed. Although even a whale cannot penetrate this ocean jungle, Aquaman does know a way in.
Yeah, it's easy if you have one of these. Aquaman gets the dolphins untangled and shows them the way out. Mission accomplished, so back to the Hall of Justice. I don't know why nobody's at the Hall of Justice. They're all in Florida.
Now, don't we have to have a plan of action?
Good thinking, Marvin. That's what we're trying to think of.
Well, why don't we just go out there and look for him?
Marvin, do you know how big the Atlantic Ocean is?
Very big.
That's good enough for me, but I have a feeling a geography teacher would mark it wrong.
Aquaman could tell you to the inch, but it's almost 32 million square miles.
Marvin, 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered by water.
But we've just got to find those short and tall human toothpicks.
Aquaman is on his way here. The Atlantic is his specialty.
But we still need a plan of action.
Marvin, what do the Super Friends always tell you?
Oh, yeah. Think.
Well, they got close. It's the best they can do without rocks to sit on.
Hey, I've got it! For the longest while, I couldn't really make good buttermilk biscuits. And I never knew why until I tried to remember each step I took in baking them. Do you know what I discovered? I was always following a certain pattern when I added the buttermilk. I'd gotten into a pattern of mixing very slowly instead of doing it quickly.
Gee, the biscuits tasted swell to me.
Today, I mixed them quickly.
She'll have to spell it out for Marvin as usual, but she says we need to look for patterns in the weather issues. So they coordinate. Superman is in the sky measuring air pressure. Aquaman is taking water temperatures. Batman and Robin are taking air temperature readings all over the city. Wonder Woman is in her plane measuring wind speed at various altitudes. Wendy and Marvin are taking it all down on a chart.
This is where the weather trouble is coming from, friends.
I agree. It's the pattern we were hoping to find.
I was in the middle of that area when I saw that peculiar large cloud overhead.
And that's where the water was very warm.
Constant strong air movement from here to here.
And the temperatures were freezing below and hot higher up.
They just summed up the last 3 minutes or so that we watched. I'm not sure why we needed it twice. Maybe they did it for Marvin.
Well, even if it is a pattern, what does it mean?
It means the Gulf Stream is shifting.
It's pretty clear that those guys are doing it. The question is why?
Super friends, emergency, emergency.
Go ahead, Colonel Wilcox.
We've got a real problem at 30 degrees north and 82 degrees west. We've just learned that floodwaters caused by weather trouble have swept away the island bridge. Hundreds of animals marooned on the island are in danger.
I looked it up. Those coordinates are in the Arctic Ocean, about halfway between Svalbard and the North Pole. The floodwaters must have been worse than the Colonel thought, because there's a whole lot of nothing at that spot. We'll see Wonder Woman rescue those animals he mentioned, but shortly after that, the whole place sank. Our weather guy says he has a ship, but it's really a tugboat with an attitude.
We're going to need more nuclear fuel.
Mr. Wicker and I know where to get it.
Before you go, I want you to give all the machinery a thorough inspection.
As I said, how many tugboats have you seen that use nuclear fuel? The fuel is actually to operate his machine that messes with the weather, but we won't find that out until later. Sorry about the spoiler. Thanks to the readings they took, they have a fair idea where all this is originating from, so the rest of the Super Friends are converging there. Superman just found a random water spout with nothing causing it. I wonder if that could be the spot.
Aquaman soon comes upon a strange and powerful stream of bubbles rising from an unknown source. He follows it downward. At the ocean floor, he looks beyond the massive boulder that partially deflects the jet-like stream. There, a huge nozzle bends upward through the water to a mysteriously shaped container, and from there, finally, to the bottom of a ship.
I'm not sure why we needed Ted Knight to tell us what we were watching, but there it is. The machine is disrupting the Gulf Stream, but Aquaman knows where the boat is, and the Bat-boat is on the way.
To the Super Friends, to the Super Friends. Distress calls are coming from all over the Atlantic seaboard. Immediate help is needed at the Panama Canal. An oil tanker has run up on one of the locks. At 48 degrees north, 67 degrees west, a fishing boat has been driven on the rocks and is now being pounded by hurricane winds.
With 2 missing passengers, Superman and Aquaman. That leaves Batman and Robin and the kids.
There it is.
You'd better stay undercover till we find out if it's safe.
And I'm sure they'll stay put like they always do.
Oh, he knows he wasn't supposed to go out.
We'd better get him back here.
Well, okay.
I guess the kids are off the hook for this one.
Wonder Dog.
They won't lose us this time.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
The Bat-boat.
The world's greatest detective didn't notice that 2 kids and a dog aren't in the boat. He probably assumed they're below, but by now he should know them well enough to check. Well, for now they may as well explore the tug.
It's like the chart we made.
Look at this.
The jet engine that Aquaman saw. Right in the Gulf Stream. Then they are the ones who are causing all the weather problems.
And it's all being done right from here.
By that tall, thin toothpick of a man.
Wonder Dog, will you please stop? Wendy?
He's not going to hurt them. He has no reason to. They can't do anything to stop him. But when he realizes the Super Friends are on to him, he shuts the machine off and moves it to a new spot. So why is he doing this?
Young lady, did you ever hear of the country I come from? Glacier?
Glacier?
It's way up in the Arctic, and we have horribly cold weather all year round. So cold that we can't raise enough crops or cattle to feed ourselves.
Then how did you survive? You must be able to find something to eat because you're here.
Shifting the Gulf Stream will give my country a nice climate. We'll be able to have agriculture and animal husbandry. We'll be warm.
But we'll be cold.
That's not our concern.
That's a fine attitude. It's very selfish.
Did you care about us?
We never heard of you.
And if you had, would you have helped us?
We would have tried to.
Ha!
It never occurs to them to ask. The worst the world could do is say no, and they're no worse off. But he has no idea what he's doing. Shifting it enough to warm his place will melt the cap. He thinks things are bad with ice. I promise him the rising ocean level would be a lot worse. He can ice skate or sled where he wants to go, and he has the option to stop and rest. How long can he tread water? Meanwhile, our 2 henchmen have driven into town for fuel. The Batmobile is following their car's distinctive track.
It's after hours, but they got in. Somehow.
We can call the FBI. They'll get us in.
No. I want to know what they're after this time.
More weather charts.
Let's find out.
But it's locked.
What's your point?
We can't let a little thing like a locked door stop us. Now to find them.
Where do we start?
You take the hydrographic office. I'll take the weather service room.
Right.
Nope, not there. Keep looking.
They've got to be the only ones in the building.
Shall we take the other elevator?
The sound may give us away.
We'll take the stairway. It's only 50 floors.
Right, we can use the exercise.
What? Adam West and Burt Ward ran a 3-minute mile. This is barely a challenge.
Jumping Jiminy Cricket. They're stealing secret material. I wonder what. Locked.
Hardly much of a challenge. That transom. Well done, Robin.
Thank you, Batman.
You did what any 8-year-old does every day on the monkey bars. Well done. Those guys are stealing nuclear fuel, of course.
One more fuel capsule, and we'll have enough to finish shifting the Gulf Stream.
Oh, no, they're not. Of course, the Super Friends have realized the tugboat is gone, and they're all searching for it without success.
We'll stop here. My jet stream will be just as effective. And now I'll resume operations.
Please, wait till our Super Friends get here.
That's exactly what I'm not going to wait for. And anyway, they'll never locate us.
The Super Friends will only shut it off when they get here.
If they try that, all I have to do is switch it to here. Then no one can shut it off.
They can break it, they can remove the power source, they can shove your head into it. They have lots of options even if you do throw that switch. A dolphin has located the tugboat and reported its location to Aquaman.
But wouldn't it be better if we all cooperated in solving Glacier's problems?
No!
You're a very clever scientist. We have good scientists. Why couldn't we all get together to solve your problem?
Yeah, it's everybody's problem.
Correct.
They beg him to shut it off so they can talk about Glacier's problem. He refuses.
Then we'll turn it off.
No, you won't!
It's on irreversible.
Now the jet nozzle cannot be shut off, not even by me.
Really? We already saw that knob does turn the other way, so I think I see an easy way to do this. Aquaman will try to plug the nozzle with a big rock. Superman will try to disconnect it, and Batman and Robin will see if they can fiddle with the wiring. For some reason, none of them can do their task. Okay, Aquaman has a legitimate reason. See that big rock? Instead of doing that, use it to pound the end of the nozzle flat so all it can do is squeak like a balloon. The way Superman is wrestling with a big pipe-looking thing makes me suspect the professor greased it. So step back and kick it. Nothing they try is working, but Batman just got an idea.
Aquaman, if you can't plug the jet nozzle, can you turn it in a safe direction?
But is any direction safe?
I can try to turn it, Batman. Which way?
Down, so that it points at the ocean floor.
I'll try.
It's working. Aquaman gets it pointed down, and Superman manages to push the pipe down so the end of the nozzle is buried in the mud. All the pressure is going straight down, and the Gulf Stream is repairing itself.
You've ruined everything. My country will starve.
But, sir, I promised you that the Super Friends help people. We don't harm them.
You've already harmed them.
Perhaps not. Look at this temperature gauge. It's the water outside.
What's happening? Why is the water getting warmer?
Because the Gulf Stream is repairing itself. I just told you. Oh, wait, that's the temperature in Glacier.
I think, sir, that you've invented a very powerful water jet drill. It's drilled into a geothermal pocket.
A geo what's it?
Heat below the Earth's crust, which can be used to warm Glacier's climate.
Glacier is saved. They're warm and can grow crops and stuff without hurting anyone else.
That never occurred to me.
Behold today's lesson, kids. Psychology calls it rigidity. Getting locked into the idea that there's only one way to solve a problem, even though it's a terrible way. Think outside the box is a cliche, but things like that become cliches for a reason. He decided the Gulf Stream was the only way to warm his country, even though it's a dumb way to do it. Electric heaters, dude. They work, they don't hurt anybody else, and they're a lot cheaper than that thing you built.
Hey, Marvin! It's so nice and warm out. How about a swim in the pool?
Good idea, Wendy. Is it really hot out? Oh, no, not again. It's freezing. I need my ice skates, not my swimsuit.
Look again, Marvin. Guess what?
I've mentioned before that this is my most requested show. I have to thank you all for that because I missed this one, and I'm having a ball catching up. And you know, with a few more ice cubes, she could have made him think the pool was frozen again. This is Marvin, after all. I'd like to know was how it's taking water pressure. Water pressures? By now he's well done. What was that? Box is a gave Marv one. Marv is my dog.